12. Fourth, international headquarters, company status will now be allowed for companies with shares and debt listed on the JSC. The participation threshold will be reduced to 10%. This will improve South Africa's status as a gateway to Africa, as well as increase the level of foreign direct investment into the country. Honorable members, government remains fully committed to improve South Africa's competitiveness in the global economy and the growth of domestic industries. Various interventions are in place drawing on the recommendations from the plans. These include diversifying trade to reduce the economy's dependence on commodity cycles, increasing opportunities for South African companies to partner with companies in advanced economies and to invest in high-growth economies, increase regional integration by establishing strong economic diplomatic presence, as this will improve market access of South African exports, working with trading partners to lower tariff and non-tariff barriers, to reduce delays and corruption at border posts, and improving transport and logistics network to ensure that capital expenditure projects do improve South Africa's competitiveness. Various plans from an important part of South Africa's development path. The listed actions are only a few of those identified by the National Development Plan, which are required to achieve an inclusive growth of 5.4% over the long term. Government is also addressing various infrastructure bottlenecks, which will improve growth in the short run, as well as the ability of the economy to grow in the medium to long term. We have also taken various actions to improve service delivery. The establishment of the Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation is designed to help in this regard. Through Cabinet, the department provides regular reports on the performance of departments and ministers. Also being prioritized is training for public service managers in both technical skills, citizen care, and communication. Communication skills are important, as in some cases people are frustrated by the failure to inform them when there are delays in the delivery of certain services. With regard to the developments in the mining sector, a high-level task team led by the Deputy President of the Republic, and which includes the Ministers of Finance and Mineral Resources, is continuing its work to improve the labor relations environment in the mining sector. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, President. Honorable Murato.
Dinisihlalo impendulo kamongameli inkarisile akudingeki kuza kuya phambili.
Thank you, Honorable Worth.
Thank you, Chairperson. Through you to the President. The World Economic Forum recently ranked Mauritius above South Africa as the most competitive economy in Africa. South Africa was ranked as last amongst 148 countries in labor-employer relations and 144th in flexibility of wage determinations. Are South Africa's labor laws not a significant disadvantage to foreign and local investment in the South African economy? Thank you.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you to the Honorable Member as well. I know that this matter is a matter that is subject of discussion in our country with regard to the labor laws. I think we do need to look at South Africa not just in isolation of where South Africa comes from. At times in South Africa, when we look at the situation, we look at how much the labor as a labor sector has developed and how much South Africa's labor relations has been indeed regularized, as well as the labor force, the workers, out of a very serious struggle, succeeded to win some gains in terms of the conditions. In South Africa, for an example, we are talking about the question of bargaining chambers. In other words, highly organized way of interaction between the companies or management of companies as well as the workers. It's one of the countries that has very developed kind of relationship in South Africa. At times we do this, as the Honorable Member is asking the question, without necessarily comparing South Africa. If we say that compared to which country, so that we can do the judgment. We don't even compare South Africa to the countries in the continent of Africa. We just always say these labor laws are too rigid, etc. But related or compared to what? Because we ask the question, therefore, in some cases out of context. We had a situation to deal with workers in South Africa in the past who were not recognized as workers in terms of the laws of this country. If you're a domestic worker, you are not recognized as a worker. If you're a farm worker, you are not. The coming into being of democracy has helped to put those workers within the bracket of them being recognized as workers. Now, I'm saying if we ask the question from that point of view, without looking at where we come from, what has happened, you are likely to ask the question in isolation of the situation. Now, that debate says there are very rigid laws, but in some countries there are no laws at all, almost. And in South Africa, just 20 years ago, there were workers who were not recognized as workers. And there's been a struggle in the process of transformation to deal with this situation. The other point, which I think is important to bear in mind, what is it that we are comparing even within South Africa? There are two economies in South Africa. Formal economy, the informal economies. Nobody talks about the informal economies. What happens to the workers who are working in the informal economy? We always talk again about a particular level of the economy. I'm merely saying what is important that when we ask this question, comparing it, and I'm happy the Honorable Member says there was a conference that was saying South African economy is functioning and performing very well. But when they look at this aspect Then they say, well, South Africa has these rigid laws. Now the question is, are they not impacting on the economic development? But the economy is developed here. It's one of the most developed economies in the continent. But at the same time, we ask the question, is the laws not making the economy not to develop? But it is developed. It is accepted by everyone that it is developed, it is performing, it is growing. So I'm saying, if we ask the question from a particular angle, without looking at everything, and without making a comparison, if, for an example, there was a comparison, you will be able to answer the question by saying, look, these economies, these are the conditions, this is what happened. In South Africa, this is what happened. And that's why the situation is as follows. That's why I'm saying the issue has been debated, but unfortunately, is always debated without proper comparisons as to what is it that we say is better, where else. So, in terms of the economy, I don't think it has inhibited the development of the economy. I think the economy is growing. There are other things we need to do in this country to deal with certain economic areas that need more attention than anything else. Some of the gains and the laws that have come about is as a result of the struggle by the workers to better their conditions. That's the reason why today we are saying the adherence to the bargaining system is absolutely important for the workers to be aware of it, so that they don't think that that system is not important. What is important is to operate outside of that one, because it has helped the economy. You have a way, if at all workers want to go on strike, there are rules and regulations how this must be undertaken. It's not like anyone could do anything. The strikes themselves, before the workers take the action, they've got to consider a number of things. That is the economy which is properly controlled and indeed developing properly. So I don't think that is the case. There is a view that says so. I think there is a view that is not necessarily saying so. And I'm saying, rather than singling out that issue, you need to discuss the totality of the South African economy. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, President. Honorable Sinclair.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable President, with reference to the issues that's been raised in the question and your response now, I just want to ask you if you believe that, given the importance that the relationship between government, business and labor and other role players are playing in South Africa in terms of enhancing the economy, if NETLAC as an instrument is still playing the necessary and important role it is supposed to play. Thank you.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Member. I think and believe that the relationship between labor, the government, and the private sector in South Africa is well developed and is working very well. And I think we have managed to deal with challenges precisely because there's been that kind of relationship. When the global economic meltdown in 2008, you'll remember, all these met and discussed as to how do we deal with the challenge. Even agreed to create a fund which was going to help if companies felt they needed to reduce the labor force, what will happen to those workers. I think that was one of the achievements of this relationship, which was highly praised globally. In fact, I think we're the only ones to do so. I've referred, as I was answering the question, to the system that we have, like bargaining system, which is again an important one to streamline the relationship. You mentioned NETLAC. I think it's not every country that we have got a body like NETLAC, where there are, in other words, possibilities for continuous discussions between all of these, including the civil society. So I think we have a system that is working. that is able to make us know exactly where, if things go wrong, and how to intervene. When, for an example, there were problems in the mines recently, I asked the Deputy President to intervene and lead a process from the government point of view to discuss with Labour as well as the mining companies. And indeed, we've been able to deal with the situation. Even some unions who were very much strong on their views were able to engage and were able to move forward. So it is working, and I think that's what it should be supported by the country. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Honorable Liz.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo. Sinenhlanhla namhlanje Honorable Mr. President ukuthi ube nathi. Siyabonga ukuthi ufike ukusivakashela kancane. Mr. President, ngeke ngikhulume indaba zengulube mina kodwa mhlamba amazambane nako. Ngicela ukubuza ke Mr. President ukuthi youth wage subsidy, is that not part of the strategy for improving the economic activity in the country? Ngiyabonga.
Uyayisinika leyo question, Mr. Liz. Kulungile ngizokunikela, akunandaba. Sicela umongameli.
Nami ngiyajabula ukuthi nginivakashele namhlanje ke ngizonibona baba. Kancane. Udaba lwe-youth luyaxoxwa kakhulu. Sokulokhu saqala ukuxoxa ngenkathi senza inkulumo eParliament yokuthi njengoba kukhona inselelo yanamhlanje yokuthi abantu baswele imisebenzi kakhulu, ikakhulu intsha, futhi esasikusho sasithi intsha eqeda ezikoleni ngoba phela yonke iminyaka kukhona abaqeda ezikoleni okufanele ukuba bathole umsebenzi. Ngesizathu sokuthi uma befika enkampaneni, inkampani zithi abanayo experience, abanalo ulwazi lomsebenzi, ingabe sabathatha. Ngase ngithi ke ngoba phela labantu balungisiwe, batrainile, akukuhle ukuthi bahlale nemfundo bangasebenzi. Asenzeni amathuba kusho ukuthi sakhe into ezokwazi ukuthi bangenelele ebukhulwini bezomnotho ukuthi basebenze. Ngamanye amazwi bakwazi ukuthola experience. Kodwa ke sathi makusho lokho kwakhona amazwi aqhamukayo ukuthi akulungile lokho mhlambe kuzokwenza ukuthi abaqashi bengabe saqhubeka nabantu nabasebenzi ababaqashileyo ngoba sebefuna ukuthi bathole labo abafikayo abazobe behola mhlambe not esigabeni esifana nabo. So kwindaba ke lokusixoxa kakhulu le sixoxe kakhulu nenkampani yaxoxa nabasebenzi, inyonyane zabasebenzi nohulumeni. Thina sibe sikholelwa ukuthi kuyinto ebalulekile le yokuhlangabezana nalenselelo ukuthi abantu abathola imisebenzi, ikakhulu laba okufuneka ukuthi bathole ulwazi kwezomsebenzi. Sesixoxile ke ngiyacabanga ukuthi sesiyasondela ekubeni sithole isisombululo salendaba. Mhlawumbe kuba nje ukuthi indaba ibekwa kanjani, nokuthi mhlambe ulimi olukhulunywayo liuphi, nokuthi mhlambe amagama asetshenziswayo imaphi. Ngiyakhumbula nje ukuthi ikakhulu abasebenzi abayifuni leli gama elithi subsidy, abalifuni phela, bashaya phansi ngonyawo. Sesixoxileke kabanzi, ngicabanga ukuthi kukhona manje ukusondelana ngokuzwana ngokuthi sikhulume ngeincentive ngoba inomehlukanyana uma beyibeka. Hayi lapho sengathi ukuphikisana kwakukhulu ngoba yinto lokufanele basiyenze, kufanele basilithole ithuba ukuthi lenkinga sisombulula kanjani ngoba sikwazi ukuhlala naye engasombululekile. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi njengoba sikhuluma nje umphathiswa wezemali usethubeni lokuthi aqophe phansi manje okubhaliwe kukhona okuzoba isiphakamiso esizoqhamuka asibeke ku cabinet ebese siyavumelana. Hayi kulolu daba noma kuleli phuzu selidumela emansumpeni.
Siyabonga Mongameli. Question 3 asked by the Honorable Mkhobi in Limpopo to ask the President of the Republic of South Africa. Honorable President, on question 3.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The presidential intervention in King Sabata Dalinjebo municipality involves a number of initiatives that are aimed at revitalizing infrastructure in Mthatha and its surrounding areas. These initiatives are focused on water and sanitation, electricity, roads and transport, human settlements, and governance. To date, 58 projects to a value of approximately 2 billion rand have been completed, and 83 projects are in progress to a value of approximately 3 billion rand. In addition, over 5,800 jobs have been created. There has been progress in the construction of roads. The Nkosi Dalipunga Bridge in Mvezo has been completed, and the Mthatha Bridge is 88% complete. The condition of the Mthatha internal roads has deteriorated, and the Department of Transport is investigating interventions that can assist to improve the situation. The municipality will also be assisted to improve the management of the roads. The airport runway is complete and operational. Measures to appoint a new service provider for the terminal building are underway. Honorable members, key water and sanitation projects in the municipality are also being implemented. These include the upgrading of the wastewater treatment works in Mthatha and the waterborne sewage system in Nkanduli, as well as bulk infrastructure in Mthatha, Nkanduli, and Coffee Bay. The Nkanduli Rural Electrification Program is complete, and 8,873 households have been connected. To ensure stability of power and prevent overloading, 2 new substations are planned for. The construction of the Thornhill electricity substation is 83% complete, while the Sidwadwa substation is awaiting the finalization of the supply chain processes by KSD. The upgrade of the informal settlements in Joslovo, Chris Hani, Mandela Park, and Polar Park is underway. The construction of alternative technology houses in Ngangelizwe has commenced. The municipality is receiving support with respect to improving its governance and administration. For an example, the Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation in the Presidency will be piloting the municipal assessment tool in the municipality starting at the end of September. We are happy with the progress thus far, honorable members. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable President. The members of the public on the gallery, you are most welcome in the National Council of Provinces. We thank you to visit us also and listen to the proceedings of the Council. Honorable Mukhobi.
Honorable Chair, I would like to indeed congratulate the President for intervening in the King Sabata Dalinye municipality, especially after the community was expressing deep frustrations at the steady deterioration of Umtata and its surrounding areas, pointing to challenges including dilapidated infrastructure such as water, sanitation, roads, electricity, and housing, and the need to improve local government management and systems. Today, when one visits the area, there are indeed several projects that are intended to bring life to Umtata. Early last year, the indication was that although the delivery of housing units as part of alternative building technology project has begun in Ngagelizwe, generally the delivery of houses was delayed due to funding constraints for bulk water, sanitation, electricity, and infrastructure. The question further is whether this has since been addressed. If not, when are we expecting progress to take the matter forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mukhobi, and thanks for your comment. Most of your follow-up supplementary question was a comment, except that last part of it, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Well, also I would like to thank the Honorable Member for the comments. With regard to the specific question at the end, I don't have the details as to how far that matter has been addressed. If I answered it, I will really be guessing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Honorable de Villiers.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Your Excellency, Honorable President, my question in relation to this question is, for how long do you envisage that this presidential intervention will carry on in this municipality? Thank you.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Well, I have not necessarily worked out the time frames of this, and I think that could be perhaps be worked out by the people who are dealing with the matter, and therefore I can't say I know exactly how long it will take. But we would want it to move as speedily as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Honorable Mlenzana.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable President, for the answer. Understanding, as you have just alluded, that you wouldn't be very able to deal with practical issues as you are not there hands-on. But my question would be whether the President or the Presidency is prepared to, particularly after getting a feedback from the municipal assessment tool and the Department of Transport around the infrastructure development, particularly in Umtata town, would be able to deploy more human and other related resources to ensure speedy and adequate delivery in your mandate. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Certainly, if there was a clear indication that the people or people deployed there were not enough, and if there was such a report, and an indication as to what numbers are needed, I'm sure government will be able to do so. I would like to say that when this project was started or the intervention made, there were a number of areas, in fact, of all the levels of government were involved, and ministers and et cetera, et cetera. They certainly worked on it and concluded that this particular capacity was necessary for the project to be undertaken. As I've been saying, for an example, some other projects are about 83, others 88, almost complete, which means that capacity has been working. And we've been working with it, therefore, without looking whether there's a shortage or not. But if there was an indication and there was a need for more capacity, I'm sure we would not hesitate to do so, if required to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable President. Honorable members, that takes us to question 4 by Honorable Jacobs, ANC Free State, to the President of the Republic. Honorable President, on question number 4.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable members, progress has been made at the 2 settlements of Dia Talawa and Magolongkweng in the Free State, comprising part of the pilot sites under the Comprehensive Rural Development Program led by the Department of Rural Development and Land Reforms. Many of the issues raised by the community during our initial visit have been addressed. These include the provision of housing at Dia Talawa, the construction of secondary schools in both communities, and the Stafffontein Qwaqwa bulk water supply improvement project. Other issues are in the process of being addressed, such as improvements to the local water distribution system through the construction of a reservoir in Magolongkweng and road and bridge works. The community of Magolongkweng is now connected to the Shiame water network and has access to water several hours a day through communal taps located at walking distances from the homes. The completion of a permanent reservoir for the community will ensure full-day access to water. Yield and water quality analysis on underground water has been conducted and 4 boreholes have been installed with solar systems and pumps. In terms of improving access to education, the Department of Education has constructed a new boarding school in Dia Talawa with a capacity of 200 scholars. Learners were recruited from other schools to stay in the hostels. Partnership programs aimed at providing electricity are in progress, with the Department of Energy working with ESCOM in finding sustainable solutions to the energy challenges facing 2 villages. Thus far, the installation of solar systems for lighting and geysers has been completed in all housing units at Diatalawa, with solar streets lights installed in and around the community. In addition, the Office of the Premier and the Department of Rural Development and Land Reforms are facilitating several income-generating initiatives in the two communities under the Comprehensive Rural Development Program. These include a dairy, livestock project, and milking project, an orchard project, construction of potato washing, grading and packaging shed, repair and fencing of hydroponic tunnels, and vegetable production activities. In addition, a 100 hectares irrigation system has been developed to plant pastures to feed the dairy cattle. Furthermore, an ICT center has been established in Diatalawa. Honorable members, we are indeed happy about the progress that has been made thus far in both areas. The Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation and Rural Development and Land Reform are currently carrying out an evaluation of the Comprehensive Rural Development Program, which will identify lessons and improvements for the future of the program. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, President. Honorable Jacobs, do you have a follow-up question?
Ke a leboha modulasetulo. Ke lebohe le mohlomphehi mookamedi ka tlhalosetso le dikarabo a re fileng tsona potsong tsa ka. Empa hee ke batla ho fetela pele. I must say that Diatalawa and Mahulukwe Comprehensive Rural Development Project is a success story of which we must be proud of in bringing development to rural communities. I'm particularly moved by the Diatalawa Agri-Village Project, which is an agricultural and dairy farming project that includes milk parlor, irrigation infrastructure, and about 120 cattle for the project. I want to check whether progress has been made to get some of bigger agricultural companies, such as Nestle and other retailers, to bring products produced, to buy the product produced by the project. Mookamedi, jwale ke nako ya hore re kgutlele masimong. Haholoholo province ya rona Free State ke province ya temo.
Thank you, Honorable Jacobs. That was a comment that needs no answer. Honorable Weth.
Thanks, Chairperson. You know, Free State matters are very close to my heart, and I know the Honourable President is a big Cheetah rugby team supporter. Mr. President, a 942 million rand contract was entered into by the Kwakwa municipality with a firm by the name of Rural Maintenance Pty Limited. And this contract has since been cancelled due to various irregularities. Rural Maintenance Pty Limited still considers the contract to be valid, however. In order to prevent further irregularities from going unpunished and to ensure constant electricity supply for the people of Kwakwa, will the President be directing the SIU Special Investigative Unit to investigate this matter? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Firstly, Kikupa Fela Kulebuha and Ateo ka gore ke a dumelana le yena ka taba ena ya moqwaqwa. Well, thank you very much for the information, but I've just received the information now, and I'm sure if proper formal complaint is presented, I've always acted where there's a need for investigation. If there is the complaint, I think I'll be ready to receive it, and on the basis of me looking at it and then act. Whenever there's a complaint about any mismanagement or whatever, I've always acted. So if I get the complaint properly, I'll certainly act on it. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Honorable Tau.
No, thank you very much, Chair, and at the same time also appreciate the responses received by the Honorable President. The follow-up, Chair, I stand to be corrected. You'll call me to order.
Don't be out of order. Just ask your supplementary question.
It's mainly out of jealousy. The success story of Qwaqwa. And therefore, the follow-up question would be, to what extent does monitoring or the minister in the presidency, Minister Chaban, together with his team, work to the point of ensuring that these best practices are therefore expanded throughout the country and other provinces are able to pick up on this best practice, especially the Qwaqwa one. The second issue is how then do we ensure that big business, particularly your agri companies, buy in as part of ensuring that we build this informal agricultural economy into a formal economy that can then play a strategic role in the mainstream of the economy. Thank you very much.
You are not out of order.
Oh, thank you.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Now, certainly the Performance Monitoring and Evaluation Department, in its work, it is whilst monitoring, it is also learning and observing and really taking best practices to try to introduce them in other areas. So that process is going on. With regard to the big companies, there are discussions as to what happens to either informal farmers or small farmers when they produce. Will they have a market? That's where the discussion has come. That discussion is going on, and I think there is a warming up to the idea that that should be supported. It's not only ending up with big companies, even government departments are in fact in some areas buying out of the people who are producing. So it's a question of intensifying that work, because certainly people have been saying there is no market. The discussion is how do we open up markets, and I think it is developing. Probably at this point in time is not in a bigger scale, but is a work that is going on really between the agriculture, big companies, and the small and informal farmers. And government is helping to facilitate that. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, let me thank you very much. The Atalawa projects and the related one were visited by us when we took Parliament to the people in that area. And I'm very happy about the report that you are giving today and the progress that we are getting. Thank you very much on that one. I think we've made quite a progress on that one, and thanks the President effective engagement in that. I see the latecomer hand. I will take it. Otherwise, I would have not taken you, Mama Bija, because you're just coming on late. You must think quickly to raise your hand. You can come up. You ready?
Ndikolibu Zurachidulo. Hey project yange if minute yatalawa ndiyavudinga manda ndikhozwipfesesa uri ido expanda expanda manda ndikho to humbelavo vahulwane vashu vathonipheyi uri va to pledgeavo uri va do ri diselavo lini hangei Limpopo province ngauri Limpopo yo declariwa the poor of the poorest va to ri disela yoni va do ya vo ri vusa vukuma ndo livonga.
I thought we have the same project in Limpopo, but I'm not taking questions. It's the president that takes questions. Honorable President, Muyashe.
No, thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm sure we'll come to Limpopo maybe in a big way, but we are in Limpopo already. One of them is the Honorable Chair's just mentioned, Muyeche. It has been there for quite a while. We've been there, we're expanding it. We were there, in fact, I think it's about 2 months' time or so. We've been also in another area, I think in Skukuni area, where we have also been there in terms of, we actually participated in reaping. The maize that had ripened already as a big fishing project that is taking place. So we are in Limpopo. We might not be in every part, as it is the case in other provinces, but we are there. We would be coming to other areas in Limpopo as part of the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable President. We now move to question 5 by Mr. Villiers, DA, Western Cape, to the President of the Republic. Honorable President, question 5.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable members, the new growth path which this government adopted in October 2010 set a target of 5 million new jobs by 2020. The National Development Plan takes this target over a longer period by calling for the creation of 11 million new jobs by 2030. Let me clarify, honorable members, that the targets set in these documents do not reflect government creating jobs within the public service, but total jobs that could be created in the economy, including jobs in the private sector. We set targets as a guide to achieve certain objectives. It is important to have these guidelines and to strive towards achieving them. It must, however, be noted that there are many external factors that affect businesses and their ability to grow employment that are outside the control of government. To reach the target of 5 million jobs over 10 years, we would have needed to create 500,000 jobs every year between 2010 and 2020. This has not happened thus far, as the world economy has not fully recovered from the global financial crisis. As a result, the demand for South African products by our key trading partners is lower. Firms are not confident that if they invest in new factories, they will be able to sell their products. Some industries have not been producing at sufficient levels because of industrial relations disputes. Consumers are not spending much as well due to tougher economic conditions. However, The signs of recovery in the United States and other trading partners give signs of hope. Our government supports job creation by promoting a competitive economy overall. This we do by providing social and economic infrastructure, a framework for skills development, and the regulatory environment within which businesses must operate. We also encourage investment in activities that can generate more employment and support emerging enterprises. Honorable members, since the adoption of the new growth path, employment has climbed by 750,000. That is 750,000 jobs. Just under half of the new jobs have been generated in community and social services, largely in the public service, mostly as the result of increased employment of health workers, educators, and police. Most of the remaining jobs were generated in business services. Still, employment in the core productive sectors, mining, agriculture, and manufacturing, also rose. Agricultural employment climbed by over 70,000 in this period, which was the largest expansion in this sector in 4 decades. Manufacturing saw an increase of 22,000 jobs and mining 9,000. Honorable members, government has a number of programs in place to support employment creation, both through public employment schemes and on a larger scale through support for private investment. Central elements include the National Infrastructure Plan, which represents a critical support for employment creation and inclusive growth. The program provides employment in construction through local procurement and by supporting small enterprises. Let me use this example of Eskom's Kusile power plant. At the end of June 2013, this project alone had generated jobs for 14,600 people, of whom 7,700 were youth. When it is completed, and while stabilizing our electricity supply, it will indirectly support even higher numbers across the whole economy. Under the Industrial Policy Action Plan, government is vigorously supporting the diversification of industry as well as the expansion of value-adding services, which also contributes to job creation. For an example, in 2011, the 23,000 new taxis entering the South African market were fully imported. In 2012, however, 2 companies began to assemble taxis in South Africa, namely Toyota in Durban from 1st April 2012 and Beijing automotive works in Johannesburg from January 2013. As a result, from April 2012 to March 2013, 9,600 taxis were assembled locally, with Toyota contributing about 9,000 and Beijing Auto Works supplying the rest. That is approximately 40% of the demand in South Africa during this period, up from 0 in the previous years. The Industrial Development Corporation is a critical partner in both the National Infrastructure Plan and IPAP. In the past few years, it has substantially increased its funding for industry, doubling its disbursement in the past year alone. In the process, it has supported a host of major new investments. They include one of the 2 new taxi assembly plants. The IDC has also helped launch 2 major new investments in soya crushing in the past year. This growing industry employs hundreds directly, but also provides a market for thousands of smallholders and farm workers producing inputs. Phase 2 of the expanded public works program aims to provide 2 million work opportunities by 2015, largely through the community work program. The program provides a safety net for the unemployed and provides opportunities for people, and especially youth, to serve their communities. Other specific program information can be obtained through the budget votes and annual reports of the various economic developments and public entities. Government will continue with its concerted efforts to support employment creation initiatives, and we encourage the private sector to also continue in the same vein of doing everything possible to create sustainable jobs. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, President. I'm informed by the duty whip that in the gallery we've got the students from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology and councillors from the city of Cape Town. You are most welcome in the House. Thank you very much. I now call upon Mr. de Villiers if you have a follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, Your Excellency, Honorable President. Unemployment increased in the second quarter with 122,000, and the rand value against the dollar is now 10 rand 50 cents. Now my question is, don't you think, Honorable President, that it is high time now for Parliament to debate unemployment and the creation of jobs in South Africa? Thank you very much.
Well, I'm not sure whether the President should respond to that. Parliament can debate anything that wants to debate. If you bring that subject of debate, I think we can debate that subject. But I will normally not close for the President to comment on your answer. I'll leave it at that. President, you are not compelled to answer that. But if you want to, it's up to the President. But Parliament should actually be debating these issues as they wish. They shouldn't be asking permission from you to discuss issues that they should discuss. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I would imagine that given democracy, we are free to express ourselves in whatever way. And therefore, the honorable member felt just needing some opinion from the president on a matter that he has a full right to make the proposal. Certainly, the matter of jobs, and not just jobs, because the problem of jobs has been there. As I've been saying, that the global economy has pressurized all economies of the world. Europe, under the European Union, has been the most pressurized. They've been at the negative for a number of years. United States comes from there. Now, precisely because we trade with these, they are our major trading partners, certainly that has affected us. I mean, we had predicted the growth at a particular level. We couldn't reach it precisely because of the economy. And from the government point of view, we are discussing these matters. We have measures that we are undertaking. We are actually doing everything we can. So there's a lot of discussion within government. There's a lot of discussion in the public, in the media, etc. And I'm sure if Parliament wanted to debate that, they are free to do so. I don't think we could instruct them, nor could I suggest they must. I think that is the prerogative of Parliament. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Honorable Bloom.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you, President. Certainly, this is democracy. We are asking anything that we want to ask. Thank you very much.
Don't be out of order, honorable member. Ask your supplementary question.
It was not a question, that one. It was a comment. Thank you very much, Chairperson. President, the economists, as you are calling them all the time, the clever people out there, are telling us every day that more and more people are losing their jobs. Only last week, 2 weeks ago, a mine, one of the mines, announced to retrench more than 1,000 mine workers. What is what, and what is the true reflection of what is going on in the country? Thank you very much. It's democracy.
Honorable President. Honorable President.
Hayi, ngimzwa kakuhle ilunga elihloniphekileyo ukuba bekusemakhaya ngabe ngithi uthe uphume nomhlahla uyobhula ukuthi awushayizwa. But since it's democracy, people ask questions. I think the honorable member has in fact indicated the problem. This is not government. This is the mine company confronted by the economic problems of the world that affects companies wherever. And they take their own decision. What then must they do? I think this is not the first time. Over a period now, a number of mining companies have been saying because of what has happened to the economy, they are looking at cutting down the labor force. And some of them have engaged them, but we can't decide for them. What we've been saying, if such a situation happens, can't we find measures in one form or the other to address the issue? That's all we can do, participate in the discussions and making suggestions, but otherwise it is up to companies. Companies are there to make profits for the shareholders, and that pressurizes them in one form or the other. That's part of what has led to some tension between the mining companies and the unions, because the unions who would want a better salaries or wages, argue from their own point of view. But that's a critical situation we've been saying. In the process of this interaction, all sides should appreciate the circumstances at which companies are operating, at which they are employing, etc., etc. I don't think we can prescribe to companies what they need to do or not to do. All we are saying is that everybody should appreciate that there is economic situation. If we're to make a generalized statement, we could be saying this is the time to tighten the belt, but who must tighten the belt in the process and how? Well, insofar as companies, they think instead of in their tightening of their belt, they must reduce the force so that there are lesser people they pay. But that is not just tightening the belt to the workers. It is actually sending them out of employment, and therefore they are unemployed, they've got no food, etc. It's a kind of a complex situation which has come. All we plead for is understanding and appreciation of the situation, so that if they negotiate, these are matters they ought to put on the table as to what are the constraints in whatever they do and negotiate. I don't think we could do more. We have participated in terms of ensuring that that whilst there are strikes or whatever, or if they are to be cut down, all of that should be done within the understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Honorable Kamete.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo. Siyabonga mongameli impendulo sinikeze zona. Okokuqala, okwesibili ngibonge mongameli ukuthi enye into esikhulume ngayo emasontweni ambalwa edlule ukusula kwabantu ayikweledini icabinet yakhe kuphasisile ngasonto edlule. Umbuzo ke uthi mhlambe akusona isikhathi ukuthi ihhovisi lika mongameli likhuthaze malikhuluma nosomabhizinisi ukuthi ke abantu osomabhizinisi igaba zonke bakhuthazwe ukuthi abantu nabo bazisungulele nabo amabhizinisi abo, ngoba phela uhulumeni ngeke awadala onke amathuba emisebenzi ukuze wonke umuntu wabe nesandla ekwakheni amathuba omsebenzi. Ngiyabonga sihlalo.
Mhlonishwa mongameli.
Sihlalo wendlu ehloniphekileyo, eqinisweni lungu elihloniphekileyo, uhulumeni uyakwenza ngaso sonke isikhathi lezi ukuthi abantu abazakhela amathuba emisebenzi, kanti futhi ngaso sonke isikhathi siyabakhuthaza nabantu. Ingakho nje sesakhe ngisho izizinto ezithile eziphethe ezezimali zokusiza labo abafisa ukuthi kube khona abakwakhaya. Umsebenzi lo esiwenzayo ngoba sicabanga ukuthi phela zikhule ezomnotho zizodinga ukuthi abantu kube khona iqhaza abalibambayo ekwandiseni umsebenzi nasekubeni basungule imisebenzi basungulela abanye. Ukuthi nje kulezi insuku zanamhlanje osekwenze ukuthi inselelo belikhuni kakhulu ukuthi yiso phela isimo somnotho esingamile kahle hle, ngoba senza ukuthi uma ufuna ukuqala umsebenzi wakho ufuna ukuziqayela wona isimo sibe singamile kahle, akufani noma uqala nje isimo simele kahle. Kusho ukuthi siyabakhuthaza ke bonke abantu nabasebenolwazi ekuqhubeni umsebenzi ukuthi abasize labo abangakabi nalo ulwazi oseluvuthiwe ukuthi kwenziwa njani, ngoba phela kuthiwa indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili. Siwuhulumeni ke siyabakhuthaza impela kakhulu. Siyabonga.
Siyabonga mongameli. Charles de Beer.
Chairperson, thank you. The debate that the Honourable de Villiers was referring to will be part of the program of the MTPPS tabling and the whole process that will follow after that, the engagement with the Minister of Finance, and the debate on the fiscal framework will be on the 31st of October, and after that we deal with the adjustments appropriations. So that's the debate. You can participate, Honourable Member. I just want to inform the House that.
Okay. We now move to question 6, asked by the Honorable Van Lingen to the President of the Republic. Honorable President.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, South Africa is a member state of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and represented in the board of governors of this agency. And we therefore subscribe to the principles of this agency. In this regard, in February 2013, the IAEA conducted a peer review on South Africa's infrastructure for the nuclear build program using the integrated nuclear infrastructure review methodology. To date, Cabinet is yet to receive the final review report, which is expected within the next 2 months. Upon receipt of the report, Cabinet will deliberate on the recommendations of this report and take appropriate decisions regarding the way forward. The process of updating the Integrated Resource Plan 2010-2030 will be completed by the end of this year, 2013. At this stage, different scenarios which will be considered in this update are being finalized. These scenarios will be communicated at the stakeholder workshops that the Department of Energy will be holding starting in this month, September 2013, as part of the update of the Integrated Energy Plan over the next few months. Once finalized, the update IRP will become publicly available. Honorable members, the Department of Energy is doing a lot of work, putting systems in place as part of the phased decision-making approach for implementing the nuclear program, including the procurement aspect. This will also take into account the lessons learned from the successful procurement process for the independent power producers. To be precise, the final decision on the procurement of nuclear power plants has not yet been made. I thank you.
Thank you, President. Any follow-up, Ms. Van Lingen?
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Through you, I'd like to ask the President. Building a nuclear power station could cost South Africa trillions of rands. Can you, Mr. President, guarantee to South African people that no corruption will take place in the financing and building of nuclear power stations in South Africa? If not, how can you in good faith commit South Africa to a nuclear build?
I'm not sure what you want the President to guarantee. Honorable President, President could take the question if he wants. I wouldn't put pressure on you to do it.
I did not get the last part of her question, just the last portion.
Could you,
whether the question or comment, just for me to
could you repeat your question, Ms. Van Lingen?
At the end.
Just the last part.
Yeah.
If not, how can you, in good faith, commit South Africa to a nuclear build program?
Just repeat the whole question so that I can understand it.
Okay, just read the whole question.
Building of a nuclear power station could cost South Africa trillions of rands. How can you, Mr. President, guarantee to the South African people that no corruption will take place in the financing and building of nuclear power stations in South Africa? And if not, how can you, in good faith, commit South Africa to a nuclear build program?
Ms. Van Lingen, with honesty, really, that's not a supplementary question from this question. That's not. Can we proceed? Is there any other person who wants to ask a supplementary question? Honorable Plum.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will ask the President a direct question. Will he give me that tender to build that nuclear?
That's not a supplementary question. Order. Any further supplementary question? Mr. Van Lingen?
Thank you, Chairperson. How will the NNECC, the National Nuclear Energy Coordinating Committee, influence the President's Infrastructure Coordinating Committee SIPS program, Special Infrastructure Program, to affect the long-awaited process of the EIA for the nuclear power station?
All right, full stop.
I can continue.
Honorable President.
The committee that the honorable member is referring to reports to the cabinet. And its job is to report to the cabinet, not to influence other things. Cabinet looks at the report, considers it, it takes decisions on the basis of whatever recommendations that would have been made. That is his job, to report to the cabinet, and cabinet takes decisions. So I don't think that committee has a capacity to influence the infrastructure build or whatever. It just reports to the cabinet. It takes whatever that is supposed to look at as a committee with regard to the nuclear programs. And then on the basis of that, the cabinet takes either recommendations or it doesn't. Depends on the cabinet what it does. That job is not the job of influencing the cabinet. It's the job of reporting to the cabinet so that the cabinet takes appropriate decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable President. At this juncture, I would like to thank the President for availing himself to take questions. That concludes the business of the day. Honorable members, you are requested to remain standing until the procession has left the House and the House is adjourned.